are your works. In wisdom you have made them all. The earth is full of your creatures. Here is the sea, great and wide, which teems with creatures innumerable, living things both small and great. There go the ships and Leviathan, which you formed to play it. Tonight, I want to talk about gratuitous beauty. It is a lesson of evidence that there is a God. Now, it talks of things that maybe you've never thought of before as evidence of God. But I believe it is, and I'm grateful to have this lesson. Have you ever heard the peacock flounder? The peacock flounder, if you watch any wildlife or ocean videos, documentaries, you'll find out that the peacock flounder can change its colors. Here, you can almost not see it if you're not paying attention. At other times, it can turn itself to have different colors, like what you see in this picture. This is an example of something that God made that evolutionists would say, see how it evolved. Evolutionists would try and say, that's not design. The peacock flounder is made this way so it can hide from predators. It is evolved to the point to where it can hide from predators and also hide to pounce on its prey. And so it can change colors to do that. But I asked this question. What about my favorite freshwater fish? This is the African cichlid. The African cichlid lives in rivers and lakes. This is what they look like all day long. They have many predators that love the fact that they cannot change their bright colors. So, if evolution made the peacock flounder, pray tell, why didn't these evolve in such a way that they could change colors at all times and hide all the time? They didn't. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 11 says, He has made everything beautiful in its time, and also He has put eternity in their hearts, except that no one can find out the work that God does from beginning to end. And that's poetry, and sometimes it's a little bit hard to pick up. Let's break it down a little bit. He has put eternity in their hearts, except that no one can find out the work that God does from beginning to end. He has put something inside us that makes us ask the question, or to be able to see clearly there is a designer. It is in our hearts. Eternity is in our hearts. We automatically ask the question, and we automatically are seeking after life that would be everlasting. And when we see something in nature, and we see that it has design, that it's silly to think that that's not designed. It couldn't have just accidentally happened. That's because God has put it in our hearts. He's created us for a purpose. He has put eternity in our hearts, even though at the time that this was written, back in Solomon's day, we didn't know all of the story of the gospel. No one can find out the work that God does from beginning to end. He told us about eternity in our hearts, but He didn't reveal the plan of salvation until the right time came along. He makes all things beautiful in their time. Notice in Genesis chapter 1, verse 31, after God had made everything, He was finished and He looked back on it. God saw everything that He had made, and indeed it was very good. Not just good, as He says in the verses leading up to verse 31. But instead He finished and He says very good. When He looked at all of His creation, He said it is very good. So evening and the morning were the sixth day. In Ecclesiastes 3, again, it says He has made everything beautiful in its time. You may have a translation that uses the word adequate. Well, that Hebrew word, Yafeh, is translated by the New American Standard, beautiful, almost every other place. It's only adequate in this verse. I disagree. I think the ESV is right. I think the New King James is right to interpret that the way the word is always interpreted, beautiful. He makes all things beautiful in its time, just like the gospel. In the proper time, you'll see how beautiful it is. But our topic tonight is gratuitous beauty. Things that God has done in His creation that is more beautiful than it otherwise would be if it had evolved on its own. This is a puffer fish. You say, well, Greg, how did that make this presentation? That doesn't look that amazing. Well, you know what is amazing? What it makes. Let's get a better look. This is it. What it does is it wags its fins and causes a cloud, and it ends up being shaped like that on the ocean floor. The puffer fish, who makes it, by the way, right in his face. He's not like an artist would see a canvas and he's painting and he can see the whole thing. He's just down there doing it by instinct. He's making something amazingly beautiful. And by the way, there are many amazing designs in the pufferfish circles. They're fantastic. Some people call them crop circles. That's a whole different topic. You say, how could that possibly be? Turns out crop circles are fake. But this is not fake. The pufferfish really makes these circles in the sand at the bottom of the ocean. Gratuitous beauty is what I'm talking about tonight. I want you to hear a statement from Darwin. Darwin, of course, wrote The Origin of the Species, and within that book, he wrote difficulties on the theory. And one of the things he said about a difficulty to what he's trying to present, he's trying to say we evolved, survival of the fittest. And to his credit, he has a chapter talking about the problems with his own theory. And one of them, he says, is beauty. Darwin himself, in his own book, says, they believe that many structures have been created for the sake of beauty, to delight man or the Creator. But this latter point is beyond the scope of scientific discussion, or for the sake of mere variety, a view already discussed. Such doctrines, the doctrine of beauty on purpose by the Creator, such doctrines would be absolutely fatal to my theory. Darwin saying, if I may break it down, if you could prove that beauty in this world proves that there's a Creator, you might as well throw my book away. It would be fatal to the theory of evolution, he said, if you could prove beauty was on purpose by a designer. Tonight, I don't want to prove that, although I believe you could. He says, if you could prove beauty, I'm not here tonight to talk about beauty. I want you to hear me. I'm here to talk about gratuitous beauty. There was an artist, I think he's not with us anymore, his name's Jackson Pollock. Jackson Pollock was famous for making paintings with splattered paint. He took paint and just threw it on the canvas. And so sometimes when you do that, it's pretty to look at. It's amazing. And somehow, maybe it's true, maybe it's not, he made works of art by just throwing paint at a canvas. I say that because sometimes when you do things, if evolution were true, if there were no God, and things just survival of the fittest. The more different things that happen, every once in a while you're going to get something that's kind of pretty. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, yeah, that's kind of pretty. Did you notice that? Yeah, that's kind of pretty. No, I'm talking about gratuitous. Nature is not merely functional, like the evolutionist would want you to believe. It is again and again extravagant. The sheer excess of natural beauty far beyond what survival requires, is best explained by an intentional designer. What is meant by gratuitous beauty? Biology needs traits that work. It does not need those traits to be beautiful. Gratuitous beauty is ornamental, symmetry, color, and form that is beyond any plausible functional requirement. Okay? So, function, what do I mean? What bare survival and reproduction require. Enough camouflage to hide, enough signal to attract a male, etc. Just enough. That's what it needs. Excess, what do I mean by that? What nature actually delivers, iridescent plumage, fractal shells, symmetrical crystals, color palettes with no signaling value at all. Over and above, excess. And let's talk about the gap. The distance between the two is not trivial or occasional. It's the rule across the living and non-living world. And it is what this argument is about that I'm making tonight. Not beauty, although that's enough for me to see the evidence of the Creator. I'm talking about excessive beauty. For instance, the peacock. Now, I don't know what your thing is. Right? My wife's a bird watcher. I'm not. And I can see that that's gratuitous beauty. I can see, that's not even a good picture, by the way. I tried to find a good picture. I've seen videos, even today, with some amazing color. Just, you can't believe it. But that was the best I could do with the short time I had. That is gratuitous. That's extra, excess beauty. I like the eyes on the train when it's all fanned out like that. Reminds me of Ezekiel and the cherubim, full of eyes. Side note. It is gratuitously beautiful. Does it need that to survive? It's amazingly beautiful for a reason, and if evolution is true, it's saying it needed that to get this far in life. Have you ever seen a penguin? Stubby, chubby, black and white. It made it. So, did it need, I mean, okay, give it the blue on the front there. That'll be enough for a bird, an eagle flying by to know that, oh, that's not an eagle, I'll just keep flying. But no, God went to the trouble to put all of that amazing extra beauty in there. Let's look at it step by step. Nature is saturated with beauty that exceeds functional necessity. Again, we're talking about God designing versus the universe just happened to roll the dice enough times to be what it is. Yet nature is saturated with beauty. Not just beauty, but beauty that exceeds functional necessity. In maiden displays, in the unseen deep, in crystal and cosmos alike. An undirected material process would select what survives and reproduces, not for beauty like the peacock. Evolution has no aim toward loveliness on its own sake. Evolution couldn't care less. It's about, rawr, eat that, run from that. That's what it's about. Not about excessive beauty. The best explanation for beauty that is this widespread and this excessive and this capable of moving minds is purposeful. Intention from a designer. So what's the conclusion? An intelligent, purposeful designer, a creator, is the more probable, more logical explanation for gratuitous natural beauty than blind process alone. Again, you just roll the dice enough times, you'll get a penguin. You just roll the dice enough times, you'll get a cat. You roll the dice enough times, that's what they think. You roll the dice enough times, you'll get a bear. Jackson Pollock throws paint at a canvas and every once in a while, yeah, let's sell that one. Sure. We're not talking about beauty. We're talking about excessive beauty. You ever seen The Lion King? I've always been fascinated by the cover of the CD, the DVD. They're looking out there at the world that they think they own and looking at the sunset. You notice that animals never watch the sunset. You know, I have to say this too. You know, last night, Mom was saying, look at how beautiful the sky is. Or was it today? I think it was today. Look at how beautiful the sky is. You know, this is the sunshine state. But there's sunshine in a lot of states. You know what's amazing about this state? And I know because I've been, I grew up elsewhere. There's more beautiful skies here on a regular basis. If you grew up here, you might not notice. Because we're a peninsula, there are more beautiful skies here than anywhere else. Montana's big sky country. I don't know if it's big up there, but I can tell you it's not as beautiful. The sky here is amazing. And we notice that. But you know who does not notice that? The animals. They just go about their business. We can't help but notice it and say, hey, look at that. Last night, you look out our front window, the sky was golden. Did you see the golden sky last night? That doesn't just happen once a year or once every 2 years like up in Missouri. It's pretty often here. It's amazing. And we notice that. It is exceedingly beautiful. But the animals, they never stop what they're doing and admire the perfect angle of a scene of nature. Like it's beautiful, and then suddenly oh, wow. Humans do that. And we get out our phones, and we've said this recently, and we try and, you can't capture it on the phone. It just doesn't work. But animals don't do that. Animals will have a beautiful sunset right behind them, and they're looking at food. That's what they're looking at. They could not care less about that. Again, animals did not evolve to be excessively beautiful for their sake. They're not more attractive. Because if a peacock was more attractive to a peacock, well then a penguin would say, well, I gotta grow some blue feathers here. I'm gonna be lonely. No. Penguins are attracted to penguins. Peacocks are attracted to peacocks. Let them be. Evolution is just silly in that way. In this arena of excessive beauty, evolution is just silly. We do notice beauty. When we see a sunset, we stop if we can. And we say, hey, come out here, look at this. Look at this. It's beautiful. He causes that for us. He made all those animals. I hope I don't fail to make this point. He made all those animals. And they do what they do. And they go about their lives. And they're amazing in what they do. But they miss all the beauty. Even a penguin not going to stare at a peacock. Couldn't care less. Could not care less at the gorgeous mane of a lion. Hey, I'm busy. You know how hard it is to be a penguin? I don't have time for that. But you do. You can see excessive beauty. God can see it too. He likes it, and He made you to like it as well. He created you in His image. Even lightning, by the way. If you're in a safe spot, you can enjoy how beautiful it is sometimes. It's amazing sometimes to look at. It is excessively beautiful. Job 38, verse 35 and 36. Can you send flashes of lightning so that they may go and say to you, here we are? Who has put wisdom in the innermost being, or given understanding to the mind? He's saying to Job, you see all these things that I do that you don't even know how to do? I made all these things so that you could understand my greatness. I made you, human, to appreciate this beauty. I put it within you to understand how gorgeous this is. I put it deep inside you. Unlike any other creation I made, you can see what I see. And the psalmist says in Psalm 111, praise the Lord. I will give thanks to the Lord with all my heart. In the company of the upright and in the assembly, great are the works of the Lord. They are studied by all who delight in them. Splendid and majestic is His work, and His righteousness endures forever. He has caused His wonders to be remembered. The Lord is gracious and compassionate. He has given food to those who fear Him. He will remember His covenant forever. He has made known to His people the power of His works in giving them the inheritance of the nations. The works of His hands are truth and justice. All His precepts are trustworthy. They are upheld forever and ever. I want you to notice He smoothly goes into His covenant with His people and His word after He's pointing out how we can see His greatness. You see, somebody that can make such excessive beauty, He's powerful. In fact, He's all powerful. And He who, without Him, nothing was made that was made. He gave you the new covenant. The works of His hands are truth and justice. All His precepts are trustworthy. They are upheld forever and ever. They are performed in truth and righteousness. He has sent redemption to His people. He has ordained His covenant forever. Holy and awesome is His name. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. All those who follow His commandments have a good understanding, and praise endures forever. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Do you want to know why a peacock is the peacock the way he is? Well, your first reaction should be, ooh, an awesome God must have made that. That's the beginning. Not, I doubt it. I think it just happened. That's foolish. The beginning of wisdom is to recognize His greatness. Psalm 139, verse 13 and 14. You created my innermost parts. You wove me in my mother's womb. I will give thanks to you because I am awesomely and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, and my soul knows it very well. Just the human eye is amazing and beautiful. All of the things that are in the eye. Remember that pufferfish and how it made the little designs around the circle? I see that in the green there. But let me show you something else. Yeah. No? There are things in science, my point is, that you cannot see that are beautiful as well. Mathematically, we know. You can't see it. But mathematically, we know they're there. What about this? Radiolarians, I just learned about. These are in the ocean. These are what they look like under a microscope. These are tiny crustaceans. They're little made of minerals. You can't see them with your eyes. You have to use a microscope. They're beautiful. Exceedingly beautiful. Why? Why would he make something, right? What does a penguin care about that? Nothing. Yet they're beautiful. Because God appreciates beauty. And so do we. And as we get older, as a species, and we learn more and more ways to see his greatness, the more beautiful things we see. Humans distinguish useful from beautiful. Okay? Beautiful from exceedingly beautiful. They're separate as judgments, a distinction that would be strange if beauty were only ever a disguised survival cue. This right here, this is useful. That's a useful thing right there you're looking at. You might say that's beautiful. Well, you would if you had never seen that. Right? There are times when human beings' lives are changed by a view. When they go to see the Grand Canyon or Niagara Falls, they'll tell you, it changed my life. I mean, I'm a different person having seen that. I'm amazed. I can't wrap my mind around the giant trees in California. You're just a different person after you see such a thing. Astronauts will tell you when they look at the Earth from out there, wow, I'm a different person. When you see God's creation, and it's excessively beautiful. You know there's beautiful things, and then there's excessive beauty. The universe did not have to be beautiful. It didn't. If it's just indifferent, pitiless rocks and gases bouncing off each other, it doesn't at all have to be exceedingly beautiful. Function alone could have produced a world of adequate camouflage, adequate signals, adequate structures, drab, efficient, and sufficient. Instead, we find excess, color without necessity, symmetry without requirement, and splendor in places no eye was ever guaranteed to find it. David was exceedingly impressed by the beauty that God made in this world. He never got to see the things that we see now. If he thinks God's works are marvelous and amazing, we should, even more than David. I'll end with this, Psalm 145. Great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised. His greatness is unsearchable. One generation shall commend your works to another, and shall declare your mighty acts. On the glorious splendor of your majesty, and on your wondrous works I will meditate. The psalmist tells us that we should be in awe of God. Mostly for the gospel. But he wants us to be amazed by his creation as well. He made it sufficient, efficient, and he made it excessively beautiful. And no creation recognizes that but you. He wants a special connection with you. On a much, much smaller scale here. Sometimes a man will bring flowers to a woman. Why? Well, it looks pretty and smells pretty, and you want that to be connected to you, right? You want a connection of beauty. That works. It works more on some than others, but nevertheless, you can't argue with that. It works. Offering something beautiful to somebody makes a connection. Oh, what do they say? Oh, that's beautiful. God is trying to make that connection with you. God sees it's beautiful. He knows it's beautiful. He made it. Jesus, without him, nothing was made that was made. He made it beautiful. That's what we sang right before we listened to this lesson. He makes all things beautiful in his time. He's trying to make that connection with you. If you love beauty, if you love excessive beauty, you're making a connection with God. You're making a connection with the Lord. You're on the right track. Do not let anybody steal from you the easy to see truth that there has to be a creator. And if there is a creator, then who is it? Well, who's the most obvious? The one who proved himself in so many ways, it's got to be Jesus of Nazareth. And if it is Jesus of Nazareth, what did he say? When he proved that he is God, what did he say?